In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 10 tips in under 10 minutes for ranked in Rainbow Six Siege. Let's get into it. The first tip that I'm going to give you is kills do not matter. Now, I know you probably hear this a lot, but let me explain why it doesn't actually matter. I'd rather have a teammate, personally, that has no kills, 6 deaths, and we still win the game because he brings utility, than somebody that has 10 kills, 5 deaths, and we don't win with, right? I'd rather have somebody that actually wins rounds than somebody that just gets free kills. If you're a player and you're going around getting a bunch of frags and you're wondering why you're losing, it's because all of those frags are useless. If you go in and get 3 frags and it's a 5v2 and your team still loses, you contributed just as much as they did because you didn't win the round. As much as you got kills and you thought you did your part, you used no utility, you created no space for your team, and getting kills and losing the round are useless kills. So if you're 10-2 and only 2 of those kills got you to win the round, then you're really only 2-2, right? There are useless frags and you can't be getting useless frags. You have to be getting frags that impact the enemy team and help your team create space. You do this by using utility with lion scans, Dokkaebi calls, jackal scans, droning, getting kills so that your thermite can get in the building to get open a wall, stuff like that. Like, you need to be getting kills that actually help your team out instead of just running in, getting 3 kills with Amaru or Ashe, Zofia, and then dying and then blaming your team for not clutching it up. My second tip is going to be getting into a 5-stack. Now, you can get to plat solo queue easily just based off of raw aim and a little bit of game sense. I've said this in countless videos, you can get to plat easily just based off of playing the game, but once you try to get to diamond and champ, you need to be able to have people that you can communicate with, and that is the beauty of 5-stacking. If you have 5 players, you can actually make entire strategies. You can do all of these things that you wouldn't be able to normally do if you were solo queuing. You have guaranteed comms as well with people that you're solo queuing with may not just talk in their mic at all, may not give callouts, may not be on their cams. They'll just get on TikTok in the drone phase, right? So having a 5-stack that wants to win just as much as you do, that gives guaranteed callouts that you've made strats with, that you can like kind of IGL into certain winning scenarios is extremely important, and it's something that can easily win you rounds. Number 3 is going to be droning. Droning is probably the most underused concept in the low ranks, and it is why you're probably in the low rank. What you need to understand about droning, and even just being on default cams on defense for that matter, is it's the one thing that can give you an edge in a gunfight. If you have information on somebody and you're about to get into a gunfight with them, that information can make or break your gunfight. So if you're peeking around a doorway and you know the person's there but they don't know you're there, you could easily pre-fire them and kill them before they even have time to react to the fact that you're in a gunfight. So having information is extremely useful, especially if you're doing things like roam clearing, getting walls open, taking sight, or just playing the game in general. You always want the most amount of information possible so that you can have favorous gunfights. That's why operators like Mute and Mozzie are so popular, because they deny attacker information and make it to where you can't drone. If you just take the extra 5 seconds to where you can drone into the building and make sure that you're not dying to a kid sitting in a corner, you'll win the round a lot easier and more reliably just because you took that extra few seconds to drone. You have 3 minutes in a game to be able to go into the building and do what you need to do, which is plenty of time, and you can guaranteed sacrifice some time droning. Number 4 is going to be callouts. So this kind of does tie in with my second tip, which is 5-stacking, but if you're solo queuing, you still need to be giving callouts. If you have a microphone, there's actually zero excuse for you to be giving callouts. Now, I can understand if you're a woman or you're a squeaker, people make fun of you all the time for talking, so you can literally just mute all of your team and then still be providing callouts. If you have cameras and you're using your drones correctly, like I just told you to do, giving callouts to your team can actually help them react to these callouts and make plays that they wouldn't be able to make before. It also makes it to where if they're getting flanked or there's an enemy that's about to kill them that they don't know about, you can easily do something about it, and so can they. Giving callouts can completely change the tide of a round, especially if you're calling out things that need to be done, like getting rid of a wall or getting rid of a shield, and can easily win you ranked games. There's no reason you should be scared to get on the microphone and start talking, so I definitely recommend you do this for you and your team's sake. Number 5 is playing off of calls. So now you've given callouts, and now you probably have a team that also gives callouts if you're giving callouts as well, but now you need to be able to play off of the callouts. It's cool knowing where a person is and knowing that a person is flanking, but you need to act upon that information. Information in itself is useless unless you're doing something about it. So if you're calling out that there's information behind you, like there's somebody flanking you, or if your teammate calls it out, you need to be able to swing the person that's flanking, or you need to have your gun up ready to kill the person that's flanking. It's the same thing if you have somebody that's in sight and you know exactly where they are, they've been pinged, their exact location's been pinged, and they've been called out multiple times. You need to be going in pre-firing that person instead of just holding an angle, waiting for your bullets to just magically find their head. Action is the second most important thing that comes after information, so that is my 5th tip. My 6th tip is going to be warming up properly. Warming up is probably the easiest thing you can do to immediately see an increase in how well you perform in a ranked game. It's as simple as getting your basics down in aim labs or T-hunts for a few games, and then going into deathmatch to be able to actually shoot people who move like normal people in game. Once you've warmed up on all of your different scopes, you can then go into an unranked to warm up your game sense, or a casual, vice versa, doesn't really matter, and then you can go into a ranked. Either way, as long as you're spending multiple games on your mechanics and your game sense in different games and a variety of different ways, you're going to be a lot safer in your skin being able to play in a ranked game than you would before, and it can actually be the reason that you make or break certain gunfights to be able to win or lose certain games. So I definitely recommend you warm up properly. Number 7 is going to be general aim. Aim is something that you can easily increase and get better at just from repetitions and time put into it. You need to work on things like crosshair placements, how to peek, quick peeking, stuff like that. If you need to peek crouched, if you need to peek standing up, learning the recoil of all the guns, learning what all the attachments do, learning the fire rate of certain guns, learning how to pre-fire, learning how to spawn peek correctly. All of these things can be put in the aim category, and it's all stuff that you can easily work on by going into a T-hunt, a deathmatch, or just generally trying to get your aim up. The way you do this is by going into T-hunts or death matches and trying to focus on a specific thing. So if you notice that your crosshair placement is really low or really high, go into a T-hunt and strictly try to just aim for the head the entire time. If you notice that your rightward flicks are a lot weaker than your leftward flicks, go into a death match and just try to flick people to the right with your gun as much as you can. But just micromanaging every aspect of your aim once you notice a problem is wrong is how you get your aim up. My 8th tip is knowing your role. You need to know what role the character you're playing is, and you need to know what role you are best at playing. So me personally, I'm not a great fragger, right? I'm way better suited to playing support roles. I'm really good at Thermite, I'm really good at Ace. Their guns naturally just speak to me as they barely have any recoil on either of them. I like creating space. I'm good at using Lion and Dokkaebi to their fullest abilities whenever I'm creating space and making pushes for the team. But my mechanics aren't the best, so I would personally probably be really good in the flex role. If you have great mechanics but you don't really care to use utility and you don't have the mega mind game sense that a lot of people have, you probably just want to play a fragger. Whatever you notice is giving you the most amount of round wins and the highest win percentage is what you need to be playing. Kills are cool, using utility is cool, but if you're not able to follow up with it and win a round because of it, then you shouldn't be playing it. My 9th tip is playing to win. Something you have to understand about the game Rainbow Six Siege, it's not about kills, right? I said that in the first tip, but also it's not about just having fun. If you want to rank up and you want to get elo, you need to be playing to win. And if you have the mindset of playing to win and playing to win elo, you'll be ahead of like 80% of the player base who's just playing ranked to have fun and to have a nice rank. If you're sitting every round thinking about the best course of action, where to push, where to keep the attackers from pushing, how to best use your utility, and how to best use your teammates, you are going to be ahead of 80% of the player base because they're just running around with alibi, wide swinging everything. So you need to be thinking about it a lot more seriously, especially if you want to get in the higher ranks like Diamond and Champ. And then my last tip is don't stress. Something you have to realize about this game is it's a very stressful game. I have probably a little under 4,000 hours on this game, console and PC combined, so I know it's a stressful game, especially in the higher ranks whenever you can't really rely on your teammates unless you're 5-stacking. The game takes so much of your mental because of how intricate it can be, but also physically it's kind of exhausting because of the mechanics of the game, that it can be extremely stressful, especially if you're on a losing streak. You need to understand, even if you are playing to win, this is a video game. It doesn't have any actual control of your life, and getting stressed out about it can actually result to you losing more games than not. Thinking with a clear head is a lot better than thinking with a head that has anxiety in it. So try to just calm down and play the game. I've talked about that in numerous of my other videos, so if you want to get better at the game Rainbow Six Siege or any of the tips I just talked about, be sure to sub the channel down below. Like the video if you liked it, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. My name's Alka, and I will see you in the next one. Later.